Hey, how you guys doing? It's producer from Brothers Comics. Welcome to the Marvel Hacks season 13, episode 1 of the Marvel Hacks. As you can look, if you're watching on YouTube, at the things behind us, everybody's got some sort of version of the Avengers, except for Hutch. We are going to be talking about Avengers Forever tonight, the epic series from 1998 by Kurt Busiek and Carlos Pacheco. And the reason that we're getting into that is because of Kang, bitches. That's right, Kang. But we'll get into the reason why we're doing that tonight. We're also going to review Loki, the finale, and the Black Widow movie on the line tonight. Only two Marvel hacks on the line. Is Brother Beavis. What's happening, man?
Hey, it's good to be back. Sorry I couldn't make that DC series, but you guys pulled through, so that's cool. Is it
Yeah,
full
so we
agenda
wanted to.
tonight?
Yeah, and we do have a full one. Your proxy was there, so it was appreciated that your proxy made it. So you sent somebody. So we do appreciate that. If you've been a watcher or a listener of this, we don't have Sandman tonight, a little bit under the weather, but he's always in our thoughts and minds.
He loves
Also on the line
King.
tonight is he loves King. Yes, also on the line tonight is Big Hutch. What's going on, man?
Hello, all you happy people.
Do you hate King?
The answer is yes. King sucks.
Oh, oh my goodness! This is
I
unacceptable.
got plenty of proof.
Yes, yeah. And so yeah, if you've been a listener and a watcher, Marvel cards will be tossed out tonight, as well as some other thoughts and everything. So, but before we get into that, we're gonna do the Black Widow movie review. Hutch didn't see it. Brother Beavis and I did see it. Did you see it in movie theater, Brother Beavis?
No, no.
Mm.
I gave Disney $15 and then 15 more dollars to hold on for Scarlett Johansson.
Okay. Yes,
Mm.
I'm
that'll
sure
work.
I'm sure that'll make its way to her at some point, but
Yes,
I
at
don't
some
think
point.
this is that point.
Yeah, the money got to be washed in some island first, but then and eventually make herself there. Okay, so my first question there was like, when should this movie have been made, Brother Beavis? Then, like, the setting of it, not necessarily when it is in terms of the MCU, but when should it have been made at all, if at all?
Yeah, I think it would have been a perfect fit in the continuity of when it was released.
Mm,
And I think it's almost, I don't know, it was just dumb to put it out now.
yeah.
Or they could have put it out in between Infinity War and Endgame, perhaps. Because she had her, I mean, then, it could have been just her sitting around in her fields for the 5 years reflecting on this past history or whatever. But
Right.
I thought it would have fit great and it would have been a great addition. And
Mm,
I don't know that this is the case, but I've been wondering if the introduction of Spider-Man and that new movie that was kind of I guess it would have been Homecoming,
mm,
that was like unplanned at the time. I wonder if this was at the expense of that, but it's not clear to me they had plans for it anyway.
right. Yeah, I mean, and I don't. I mean, and I'm not gonna get here and shit on the movie because I didn't really necessarily think it was bad, but it just seemed like kind of out of place. It didn't even feel like a phase one, which would have been like an origin story. It was just like, hey, yeah, by the way, you know these characters, and we're just gonna introduce her sister and Red Guardian and all these other folks, and y'all just gonna take it and shut up about it. So it just felt like kind of out of continuity a little bit. But all right, so
It
let's
definitely
recap.
had like the Solo feel to it as well. Like
Mhm.
what references have we made in
Yeah.
all her movies? Let's go ahead and pay those off.
Yeah, I was waiting for Chewbacca to show up. So to recap, and I sent this out to y'all, or maybe I sent it to my family, and they got mad at me. This was to me, it was Black Widow, Winter Soldier. That's what it was. There was some widows that had been powered up, and they were loose cannons, and they had to be brought in with a MacGuffin to kind of turn them back into whatever they were supposed to be. And we introduced Natasha's sister into this, and that's what they went and did. Tell me what I missed.
Yeah, I to me it was kind of a one-sided movie. I
Mm,
thought the protagonists were all pretty good. I think in this case the villain was just so reprehensible, and we've talked on these shows a lot of times, like the villain makes the movie. And I've read like things that are saying, well, because it kind of broke that, it was better or something, but not to me. I
mm,
mean, like, there was, number one, you didn't really, there was no this guy had no redeeming factors at all. And at the same time, you didn't really, because he came in so late because of the shocking swerve that he was still alive, and the even more shocking swerve about the identity of the Taskmaster. You didn't even really spend enough time with him to really care or feel anything when he apparently got blown up in the helicopter or whatever. But having apparently been blown up before and survived, should we assume that he's still around? Or I don't know. I think it was just a one-sided movie in that regard. I liked a lot of the hero side of it. I liked Yelena, and the Red Guardian was great. Black Widow was solid. She always is. Although I think she's been a lot better and as sort of almost like a Captain America sidekick. To me, she was a better Captain America sidekick than Bucky. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, I like there'll be some people that argue that. I liked the little sister, of course. I mean, I thought that was really cool. But overall, like I didn't really anything I really overly liked about it or anything else. You know, the big bad, didn't really care. The final climactic scene, didn't really care. You know, we should maybe take a side topic about Rachel Weisz is working on 20 plus years of being hot. So just, I mean, since The Mummy, I mean, and that was what, 1998, if that, 96. Yeah. So I mean, we're working on a solid turn here. But other than that, I just thought it was just a movie. Like I didn't love it, didn't hate it. You know, it kind of, if it had come out before Infinity War, whatever, you know, to me, actually a better story would have been telling, you know, again, they're not going to get the people for it, telling the story of where Cap, Falcon, and her were in that time before they show up to save, you know, Vision and Wanda. Like that's a great, you know, that's a good story to me. You know, and even the thing about Budapest, it was like, oh yeah, Budapest. It was really like that's a poor reference. You know, they reference it so many times, but then they're like, oh yeah, there's some arrows in the wall. Cool, thanks. That was really 10 years worth of movies that you just like kind of shit on. So I mean, and the fact that he didn't even make an appearance, I mean, it was just whatever.
Yeah, I wasn't, you know, a lot of times when, you know, like a lot of the complaints about a prequel is like, well, you know, people survive. So we know she at least survived to get back in the story, not beyond, right? But that part of it isn't what put me off. And I mean, I don't care. You can tell us right out of the story. It just, I don't know. It just didn't feel like there was enough sort of mystery there to do this just to answer the questions. I would have rather that it happened somewhere along the story arc to then amplify her role in the story. And now it's just sort of like cleanup. I think they just missed them. They missed the opportunity to make this movie at any point prior to this, and I think it's just really pointless now.
Yeah, it was. I that's kind of how I saw it too. That it should have run during regular continuity. Hutch, just kind of for you for on this part, do you think they don't run that movie because they didn't think a female superhero movie could pull money at the time? Because it should have come out before Infinity War, and at that point we're talking 8+ years of movies. Clearly that, you know, there's an establishment there, everybody loves the character, like why not make the damn movie?
Yeah, it should have come out before Endgame and all that for sure. I think it would have walked. It should have stood the test of time and people would have went to go see it.
Right.
I mean Ghost in the Shell and some other movies she done, she kind of made those already.
Yeah.
So yeah, Black Widow would have worked before this.
Yeah, I tend to think it is that reason. I mean, that's why, like, if I have to reach for why they wouldn't do it otherwise, other than they didn't think a female lead would carry it or weren't ready for that. It's the only thing I can point to is the Spider-Man to juggle their plans.
Yeah, getting Spider-Man back into it messed up a lot of things, or messed up with delayed things or whatever. Anything that you didn't like about it overall, other than the Smells Like Teen Spirit remake? I know you didn't like that.
That was bizarre too. I was just sitting there like, I don't know how I feel about this, but I don't think I like it, but I'm not sure why, because I don't like the regular song. Yeah, that was weird. No, I mean, there's nothing I really like. I'm like a what is it, the Crimson Guard? I'm a Crimson Guard mark. So all the references to Crimson Dynamo and Red Guardian and Ursa, that was all hype for that stuff.
Dark Star and all them. Oh,
They didn't, to my
No Dark
knowledge, they
Star.
did not make a Dark Star
Yeah,
reference, but I could have missed it.
Ursa Major did.
Yeah, Ursa. There was a character called Ursa, and they kind of mockingly refer to him as Crimson Dynamo, and in Red Guardian's like, it's the Red Guardian. Yeah, that's yeah. That guy was pretty great.
Yeah,
and,
it was. I mean, yeah,
Stranger Things, dude.
yeah, it had its moments. And we're gonna, I mean, literally seamlessly walk into this. As after I kind of had a chance to think about it, I was like, this probably would have worked better as a Disney Plus series, where they could have fleshed it all out. But whatever.
yeah, I would say the other thing I don't like is, you know, the Red Room. Like, again, too much borrowing, right? The big battleship crashes on the planet. You know, that was kind of the Ultron thing. I don't know. They just sort of hand wave that this giant floating helicarrier type thing would land or whatever. I don't know. The other thing I've seen a lot is like, you know, people pick these movies apart and call it plot holes or things like that. It's like, well, why didn't this? Why didn't that? Because it fucking didn't. Like it doesn't have to all make sense, and you're not with every second of these characters. If there's something that you think should have been there, it's not. It's just because it's not. It's not because like it doesn't make sense. It's been amusing for me to see people like look for things to kind of hold over until, just like we're doing, looking for things to hold over till the next movie comes out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, if your life is messed up because or your enjoyment of the MCU messed up because of this, that's a huge problem on you, not anybody else.
Will she be in the next Avenger movie?
I would. Well, that
not if there's
breaking
lawsuits
news.
on.
Yeah, breaking news today, and I don't think I sent you the side brother topic. Scarlett Johansson sues Disney today because she says they released a movie on Disney Plus, and that cut into essentially her profit margin or whatever back end deal that she had on the movie, and so she wants her change from that. Disney issued a statement that was like, "You got paid $20 million, so you need to shut the fuck up." That was basically the statement, just in lawyer terms, and so it's money. They got money
for a year.
Yeah, but they got money. She got money. That'll be worked out. I mean, and honestly, to be perfectly fair, and to throw this to hush, and RIP female perspective or whatever. If you ain't working for Disney, you ain't working at this point in time. They pretty much control darn near everything. So I mean, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater in this situation.
Even Keanu Reeves, who has made thousands, millions, and millions of dollars with Warner Brothers, is now bent the knee to.
Yeah, well, he's in Toy Story 4, right? Yeah, as the
4. Hell, if he can help it, he wants to be Wolverine or Namor or any of them. So I'm sure it'll work out. But yes, she'll probably make an appearance, because what else is she gonna do? All right. So let's get through that. We do get the Easter egg because it is a Marvel movie. Elaine Benes shows up, or excuse me, what is it? Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine recruits Natasha's sister. We're going to find the real killers, like OJ. Yeah, we're going to find the real killers of your sister. She shows a picture of Hawkeye. I sent you a picture today. Like, I'm not the Hawkeye series that's coming up. It's going to be on Disney Plus in, I think, November. So I'm sure that's going to cross over in some sort of way, probably there. So what else? Anybody interested in seeing the Hawkeye TV series? I didn't watch all the other stuff. I might as well. I guess I'm in, and it's near Thanksgiving. So what else are we going to be doing?
Did y'all read the Kate Bishop books? I did. I don't know if anybody else did. The Kate Bishop Hawkeye books. Okay, they're pretty good.
Avengers game on PlayStation 4.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, they're pretty good. So
I'm interested in the show only because they've done so little, and everything they've done with him has been terrible. And so, I mean, I don't dislike the character. Just the MCU rendition has been terrible. Yeah. So I'm interested to see if they try and salvage that, or if they just pile on what's already there and shuffle him off for somebody else.
Well, I don't know how he recovers.
Don't let the actor sing in the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then when we just brushed off the fact that he was like, "Hey, you know what? I'm so sad. I'm just gonna go kill Mexicans and Japanese people." in Endgame. And just was like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm just gonna go kill people. It was like, it still makes no sense in the whole overall sense of that movie. When you watch that part, it's just like, how did this not make it on the editing room floor? Like, oh yeah, well, he looked cool in the costume.
Well, he had to be in it.
I know, I get it. It just makes no sense or whatever. So anyway, the rumor out there is that Kingpin from the Daredevil series is going to be the big bad. It's a rumor, but this is kind of weird though, because Kingpin's not a Daredevil not a Hawkeye villain.
But the Matt Fraction series that at least a lot of the imagery is based on, it was centered in New York, so that would be the connection.
Right. Yeah.
Street level.
Well, he in the comic book, he's the mayor, I think, of New York at this point in time too. But I can't imagine that they're going to bring all that into it. And yeah, so it'll be fun. I mean, we're gonna talk about Avengers series here. I said we're gonna transition to it before. Let's transition to it now. Like next up, Loki. Loki finishes like 2 weeks ago at this point in time. For some reason, I swore that shit was like 8 episodes. It was only 6, and it was perfect. Like every series that they have now should probably be 6 episodes. That's just enough. Like when it gets to 8, and then remember Netflix was going nuts doing 12 episodes a season.
6 a season, yeah.
Yeah, no, Netflix was out of control because you'd always get those episodes. You're just like, oh my God. And the flashback episodes, it's like, no, 6 is perfectly easy. So we're not gonna recap every single episode because I think we did the first couple of ones on the previous podcast. We're just gonna go, kind of jump into the final. And my note tell y'all it said so we basically did the Wizard of Oz finale here. They
I
make
thought
their
it was Adam and Eve.
Okay, I hear you. They make their way through the Emerald City, and they use a spell to get past Smaug, the dragon.
Really mixing metaphors now.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on, man. What, Alioth? Is that what it was called?
Alioth.
Alioth.
You could have said the tornado or something like that.
Come
you were
on.
going with the Wizard of Oz analogy.
That's
the
fair.
Twister.
Yeah. So Loki and Sylvie, they Alioth, or whatever it's called, Alioth. Excuse me. They do some sort of spell or whatever, and this was after they, in the previous episode, had survived the end of time with all of the other variants of Loki, which I thought was really cool. I thought that was one of the better things. Of course, we had the token Black Loki; he got killed, but I thought that was
not only did he get killed, but he was the bad guy,
the traitor. Yeah, well, gotta you gotta play the tropes. Yeah, and then my note on there says the part where the dude was in the full Loki costume looking like Electro, with his glorious purpose, to help them get to their final point. I thought that was one of the coolest comic book things I'd ever seen. What y'all think about that?
Touch.
Yeah, it was
really
different Lokis were kind of cool.
No, the costume is so hokey.
Yeah, it was 1960s Loki and alligator Loki or crocodile.
Yeah,
Loki,
that was cool too.
Yeah, all of them. The kid Loki, yeah, it was all kind of funny.
Brother, because you didn't like the glorious purpose, dude.
I didn't say that. I was just deferring to the senior member of the panel here. So I would say, I was kind of bogged down in the first part of the series, and I thought the episode 5 was where it really picked up in a nice way. And I did like the Loki variants. I did like the glorious purpose scene, and but the problem I have is they've done so many fake face turns with him that it's hard to really
wrestling term. Fuck over.
Yeah. It's hard to really embrace it. Oh, here we go. Now this is the redemption arc. I mean, they kind of almost do that. I guess they believe that they did that in the last episode, but it's just, it's never clear that he's actually grown or learned or changed, and they keep showing these aspects of him, and it's just hard to take it for what's being presented. So that's the only downside is even with that guy, I mean, clearly he sacrificed himself, and maybe for him that was his turn, and it made sense in his arc, and the stitched together, the costume we would have gotten if this movie was made in 1983 or something like that. That was cool, and an interesting way to sort of bring some of the traditional Loki imagery into the series.
Yeah.
But that was the one thing is like, you just how many times am I gonna how many times am I gonna let you're gonna fall for it and say, oh,
Yeah.
no, now he's finally turned.
Oh, a true banana in the tailpipe situation. So he and Sylvie decide that, they get past Smog. The wall breaks down. They break in to go see the wizard. And then we finally get inside, and the wizard is okay. So we can't really call him Kang because they never refer to him as Kang, even though he's wearing a Kang suit. It could be Immortus for all we know, but which we'll get into here when we get to Avengers Forever. Played, my note says brilliantly by Jonathan Majors, because is he crazy? Is he brilliant? Is he whatever? And we take this long, really ride about what actually happened and who he actually is and what's actually going to go on after this particular moment. And I mean, I thought it was great. I really, I'm watching this and the first time, and I'm like, I have no idea what's about to happen here. And I think that's the great sign of a TV show, because you just don't know. They've set us up so many times with the fake freaking Quicksilver and all these things, and you were like, oh, okay, fine. Well, yeah, they're going to give us this because that's what we want. No idea what was going to happen, how it was going to end, and I thought that was really cool. And so he presents them with a thing like, okay, well, you could kill me and unleash all of my freaking variants. And he gave them a line like, wait do you see the rest of my variants, because they're all fucked up. Or you can stay together with your little freaking incesty love story and go back and rule that particular timeline. It's really up to you. And my question in there was like, what's it called if you're trying to fuck your other self? It's not really incest, right?
It's some kind of masturbation, right?
That's what I was gonna say. It would have to be somewhere in the masturbatory area, but yeah,
it's a Dutch rudder. Somewhere between masturbation and a Dutch rudder.
Noted. So
brother
yeah, and so Sylvie is like all out,
Asgardian rudder.
That's right. And Sylvie's like completely out of control. Her life had been kind of shit on the run all these years, and so she's like, I'm about to kill him. Loki tries to play the person of reason there, which kind of lays into what Brother Beavis was saying, but we can't really figure out there. They have their little fight, and and then there's a moment like Kang has seen Immortus over freaking he who remains. Jonathan Majors has seen everything that has happened, literally to the point it was like this was going to happen. He brings out a piece of paper, like all of that, and then there's a moment there, and there's been a rumor out there. There was a video that I sent to you guys as well that at 28 minutes and 30 seconds, if you pair up what was it, WandaVision and this show at the same particular time, when Wanda becomes the Scarlet Witch, everything changes. He didn't foresee this. Like everything's completely off the table at that particular point, and then he plays that out. So I sent that to y'all, and I know where Sandman felt on that. That's not a coincidence. Do y'all think that's a coincidence? There's no way it's a coincidence.
No, I don't think it can be.
Yeah.
And I think, that perhaps, his choice that he gave them was based on this inevitability. And so perhaps with someone else now in the mix who can also manipulate the time stream, there's more options than he who remains ends up at the end of the time stream.
Right.
Which is what, I mean, he doesn't mind offering that option, because in his mind, what will happen is he will end up there anyway. There will be the time stream war, multiverse war, or whatever, and he will end up there anyway. And so he doesn't care about dying because he'll just be back there. Yeah. He really wants to be free of this time loop that he's created for himself. And I thought it was amazing. We've said on here before, at least I've said, like, when you're telling a story just through dialogue, you're doing a bad job of storytelling. But in this case, just the performance and the delivery and the physicality of the role, the quirkiness, I thought it was absolutely amazing.
Oh no, the dude freaking nailed it.
Yeah, and I think the first thing I texted you or in the side channel was like, Sandman's gonna have to walk back all this Kang hate, because I think we're in for a treat, and I can't wait to see, like, they branded this as a variant, right? I
Mhm.
can't wait to see the Conqueror. And
Yeah.
I hope it's not just the typical over the top screen chewing
Yeah. Saber tooth.
megalomaniac.
Yeah.
I hope this quirkiness
Well,
comes to with that character as well.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, he was. Yeah, I mean, you're literally watching that, and hey, I'm watching this as a TV show. Hey, I'm watching this as a comic book fan. And be like, oh my goodness, multiverse wars. Oh, check please. Yeah, I want all of that. And
Mm.
and what we know, and we'll get to that. What's coming next or whatever. It's like, man, freaking Disney, Kevin Feige, whoever you want to call it, like the fact that their ability to plot out shit, except for Black Widow, their ability to plot out shit like ahead of time is chef kiss, man. I mean, this is, there's clearly a plot or a plan here that's going to play this all out to the end. So, yeah, that whatever. All right, so Loki gets body slide by HQ now, as Sylvie sends him back to the TVA, and she goes and she kills, the variant, and so he's down. And back at the TVA, Loki doesn't know what's going on. Nobody knows what it is. And like, oh, who are you? Why are you here? And then he looks at the thing that's in that hotel from freaking Dragon Con Hutch, and it's a statue of Kang or Immortus or Nathaniel Richards or whatever you want to call him. He who he should not be named. No, he's there, and it's a much more definitive statue of him and his face now. So yeah, just brilliant. So I asked the questions in here.
And there were two great moments there too. One is after Sylvie, three, after Sylvie stabs him, and he's like, "I'll see you later," or "I'll see you around," or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
That was great. But then her reaction after that is just like, this expectation of closure that never came.
No.
And it validates kind of what Loki had been saying. And then him sitting there just completely dejected, and then seemingly seized with, a motive and a mission again to jump up and try and, engage the TVA and start prepping for the return of this villain, which, he has seen before in the form of Thanos, and he died from it.
Right.
And he has seen what running from it is. It's an empty life. And so all those things were great.
Yeah. My question on there was like, we've watched WandaVision and we watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, whatever. And I think we all came away from the finales of both of those. Like, it just didn't really feel like it landed. Like, it's just, not that it was bad. WandaVision had, when hers turned into Scarlet Witch, I mean, that's a great moment or whatever, but it just felt rushed. And, what we know about the production from COVID or whatever. Falcon and Winter Soldier, it really didn't like land at all. Yeah, it's great, that Falcon becomes Captain America, but like the overall ending and the fucking Return of the Jedi, we're waiting for Lando to be clapping by the tree and shit. And that it just really didn't like kind of nail it for me. But this one seemed to nail it, Hodge. What'd you think?
I liked it. All in all, it was it was crazy at first. This is actually it started off crazy with this TVA stuff and variants and yada yada. And yeah, by the end, you I figured, it all got figured out, and you went with it. You went with the story and see where it lands.
Y'all think this is Immortus, Nathaniel Richards? And now that opens up the fact that we have a Reed Richards coming here. That movie's not supposed to come out until 2023, though. So, I mean, that's a pretty long laid out path there to tie that together.
I mean, it's hard to say because Kang has connections to everybody. So you don't really need to tie it to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
He's got plenty of ties just to the Avengers as is, and obviously he's been introduced. But I do think that, it does seem like WandaVision, the ending, the writing was there, but the production issues, it seems like with Falcon Winter Soldier, I think they just made some bad choices. And as far as the rack and stack of the villains, and that he'll make a what you called it, the Negro politics speech to close it out, which was unsatisfying, and
that's for sure.
And the Isaiah Bradley sweep that up with a dustpan at the end. So I think they made some bad choices there. I think if they had production issues on Loki, they figured out a way to work around it. and they had the story kind of figured out. The other thing I would say is like, even though clearly with WandaVision they had a path and she was going to be tied in, it still seems like the show was written as a show without sort of any sort of expectation of a sequel. Was it written as a self-contained story? And same for the Falcon and Winter Soldier. It was a story with a start and an end.
Right.
And so some of the criticism I saw of Loki is like it doesn't really resolve anything. But if you think it as a season finale instead of a series finale, even if that series plays out elsewhere,
Right.
to advance the story and setup, I thought it was great. I don't think it closed out, and 6 episodes may not be the time to do that. But I thought for what they did to move the story and set things up future, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I mean, the Easter egg for Loki is coming back for season 2, and I saw a thing online the other day that they've already started filming for season 2 for Loki. So whenever that's going to happen is when it's going to happen. Next up in the MCU universe, Shang-Chi or whatever, that's coming up in like September. But in terms of this probably story where we're going to see it, it's freaking Spider-Man and then Doctor Strange early next year. Spider-Man is No Way Home. All the rumors are saying that we're going to see every single person that's ever played Spider-Man in any of the movies. Daredevil's supposed to make an appearance in this as well. Like, I mean,
you're not counting Venom too?
No, we're not counting that. They're not either. The timeline has been completely branched off into whatever, which I thought was a very cool scene too after she killed him. And, I think that's what we're going to get. And then it seems like Doctor Strange is going to be, the person tasked with trying to put the fucking toothpaste back in the tube, which, should be interesting in and of itself. But yeah, again, they do a really good job of plotting their shit out, because allegedly we're not going to see Kang again until Ant-Man and Wasp #3, which is in 2023, and to quote Hutch, whatever, I want to be able to see that movie, from not from here. I want to see it, in the movie theater. So like 2023, that seems like a really far time off at this point. But
there's been a sightings of Tyler Perry and people are working their asses off like never before down here in Atlanta. So
I saw some behind the set stuff for Black Panther online the other day, because they're filming at Tyler Perry's studio down there too. So
he is humping like he ain't never humped before.
Yeah, well, there's a different podcast we're talking about Tyler Perry's humping proclivities. But anyway, all right. So before we get into the comic book tonight, we're gonna do a new segment on here, and it's called "Did You See That?" I'm gonna take something from the world of geekdom and fandom that happened during the week that we hadn't right before we recorded, and whether you saw it or not, I'm not really sure, but I think that it was so fucking awful that if you didn't see it, we need to see it here. So if you're on the YouTube, you'll get a chance to see it. Hutch, you need to turn over the rights to me.
I already did.
Okay, so let's see if I can do oh God, where is share screen?
This is the old segment, the awkward manipulation of technology by middle-aged
that's
dudes.
not it. How do you do? Oh, there's share screen. Here we go.
You should have practiced this.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. How about that? Okay.
Oh, something's happening.
It's rewinding. All right. So on The Flash this week.
Yeah.
And I saw it online. Something happened between. I haven't watched The Flash since season 2. I hope we don't get booted from the post up for YouTube for this. I haven't seen The Flash since season 2. My daughter still watches it. I just can't mess with it at all. Every time I see something about it, I'm just mortified by what I see. But this took it over the top. So, did you see when the Flash got lightsabers? Here we go.
I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Yes, exactly.
Let's see how you handle it.
Lord, stop it now.
I saw this and I thought this was a joke, but it wasn't. It's a joke, but it was on purpose.
Oh my God! Oh, he's Darth Maul. He's got 2 of them.
Yes, exactly.
Turn it off. For the love of Peace Dragon.
Not Impulse. Oh, it gets worse. It gets worse.
It's worse.
Nigga, it's awful. I'm trying to tell you.
Who is the White Flash here? Do we know?
I have
Do we
no
care?
idea. Hutch, you got that one?
I don't know.
The
Yeah.
yellow guy. I'm
That's
assuming.
Reverse Flash.
Yeah, and that's.
Unless they're Zoom or whatever. Yeah.
I don't know if this video actually has the foot. Look,
Oh,
yeah, it's definitely Darth Maul. And some Jordans.
Jesse Quick. Oh, that's yeah.
Was that what's his name?
So that's John Wesley Shipp, the guy who played. He
Flash.
was originally Barry's dad in the show, but then he came back as the whatever the Silver Age Flash was.
Right, Jason or Jay Garrett.
Jay Garrett, yeah. But then it was a swerve. He was like masquerading as Jay Garrett. I don't know.
Enough. No, the Flash is my 1B character in DC, and I haven't watched it since season 2. I couldn't do it.
No.
I tried to watch that original series that came out back in the 80s or was that 90s, whatever. I couldn't
80s.
do that. That was a struggle too.
I saw that and I legit thought it was a joke. I'm like, oh, somebody must have made this like to be funny. Because when the hell does Flash get lightsabers? But it gets worse. The longer scene of that is like all the other Flashes. There's like 1,000 on the show now. Impulse and all the other ones. They come out with lightsabers too and fight like multiple versions of that white Flash character. I'm like, nope.
This is the equivalent of when we watched the Captain Marvel film when all the Marvels came out, and I was good night.
Oh, you mean Shazam?
Shazam, yes.
Yes. Can't call it Captain Marvel. Yeah, I understand. Yes, that was, Side brother topic. That movie sucked. People are like, oh, that's a good movie. That movie's not very good. I'm sorry. Did y'all like that movie? Did y'all see that movie?
I saw it.
I saw it. It was Shazam backwards. It sucked.
It's just like people are like, oh, it's really good. I mean, it's a Phantom. This is a Attack of the Clones situation. Like, yeah, you're comparing it against the other DC movies that were really bad before it, but this is not a good movie. Stop telling me this is good.
Your volume dropped way down, by the way.
Me?
Yes.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
A little louder, please.
Can you hear me now?
A little louder, please.
Now?
YouTube took half your skills.
I know, man. What the
there you go.
Here? Yeah, better? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm back. Yes, now we're back. All right. So let's get into the book of the night and the book of the season here, which is Avengers Forever from 1998. Carlos Pacheco, Kurt Busiek. My note on here says, do you remember collecting this back in the day? And then we'll get to that in a second. Do you remember collecting this, Brother Beavis? I vaguely remember conversations about this book.
Yeah, I got this, and this was probably right after I got back into comics. And so this is right very near the beginning of Avengers Volume 3, which follows the Heroes Reborn Liefeld era.
Yeah.
And so I don't remember that there was anything from necessarily like from the main storyline that prompted this. It was just, it seemed like just kind of a side topic. Obviously they tie into previous events, but yeah, I was kind of a mark at that point. So I remember getting it, and I thought it was pretty cool. And it's definitely, as bizarre as it is, I think it's more cohesive than a lot of time traveling stories. And I think that's because it's, 12 issue limited as opposed to being stitched into regular continuity.
Right. Hutch, you remember getting this?
No.
Did you read this before? Okay.
No.
You would have been out.
Brand new stuff.
Oh, okay. So I do remember getting it. This is after the Heroes Return era. Carlos Pacheco was on the Fantastic Four when they came back from Heroes Return, and he was he's a different artist, like in how he draws things, and it didn't work on Fantastic Four for whatever reason for me. Even though I think Kurt Busiek was writing that book as well. And so they kind of come over to this book as a mini series and or a maxi series because it goes the whole year. And I was like, oh man, I remember reading this, and I'm starting to read it for the podcast. And I'm like, hey, this is actually not that bad, And again, this is, if you've been here before, We rank books sometimes, especially modern books, about how many shits it's going to take for you to finish it. This is not a one shit book. This is a this is at a minimum. At a minimum, this is a 2 shit book at least.
Oh,
At
and it's
least.
funny. I just looked at the page count. I was assuming it was like a double issue or something like that. It's not.
No,
This is like old school Claremont.
yes, it's very long, a lot of verbiage. There's so much going on in this particular book, and this is just issue 1, and it's building into like a much deeper story that we're about to get into, over time. So we're going to do issue 1 tonight. We'll double up. This will be the book for this season. What we had talked about doing, if you've been listening before, is like, oh, we're going to look at some stories for individual teams or heroes, that are epic stories for that particular, person or group. And I think this is an epic Avengers story. And what this told me is that I did not read a lot of Avengers stories. I have not, because I have no idea what's going on in this book. I could barely tell some of the characters in here if they weren't a mainline Avenger. We're going to make fun of a couple people here tonight for sure of the characters that are Avengers. But let's get into it. So Space Bitches, Beta Centauri number 4, I believe is what it says. It's under attack and all the people begin to get frozen. And like, oh, okay, what's happening? And my note says, like, when I first read this, I had no idea what's going on. Like, absolutely nothing. Who are these blue people? Is this what's
You don't know the blue people?
I don't know the blue people.
These are Yondu's people from Beta Centauri.
Oh, really?
Masters of the Yaka arrows.
Yeah.
Oh shit. No, I definitely did not know.
Missile arrows.
Oh, okay. See, y'all read more Avengers books than I did.
Well, that's from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
2 though.
Old school. No, from the original comic team, not the Peter Quill version.
No, I ain't read that shit either.
I read it. Sometimes I wish I didn't, but I read it.
Nice. Ships attack from above. They're dropping plasma cannons on all the frozen people. And then, these oppressed people, they're blue and shit. The Avengers are going to come and save them. No.
Not so much.
No, the Avengers come to kind of increase the carnage. So we got all these people, the Hammer Troopers, with the Thors, and there's a whole bunch of them. The Repulsor Troopers, which is a bunch of Iron Men. I kind of like that the fact that they did the devil Iron Man thing, like the armor thing. The Shieldsmen, which are the Captain Americas, and the Micro Swarm, which are the Ant-Mans or whatever. And they come up on the people and they mess them up too on the frozen people. Who could be behind this attack? Gotta be Thanos, some villain or whatever. Nah, it's Rick Jones. Or what do they call him? Johns Rickard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You went for originality there.
Yeah, sure. Well,
he's a descendant.
Yeah. Well, they're punishing the rebels for this thing, somebody stole the Death Star plans and shit. And they came down and they were like, hey, we're gonna kill, whoever did this, because you weren't loyal to the Empire. Don't mess with the X-Men. I mean the Avengers. And that's the end of our prologue with a group of people. They green though. They're like, hey, this ain't going the way we thought it was going to be.
Those are the timekeepers.
Those are the timekeepers?
Those are the timekeepers.
I don't read the Avengers books.
You just watched the show.
Don't be talking to me like I know what I'm talking about.
You just watched Loki. That's the timekeepers.
Man, that was some statue.
Space lizards. This is the space lizards who control the time.
God damn, I ain't even know. So yeah. All right, so then the main part of the book begins on the blue part of the moon, which has been, that's where Phoenix died or Jean Grey got killed or whatever. So I don't know what there's
humans and all them.
Yeah, what's so special about the blue area of the moon? That's because you can breathe and shit there.
There's atmosphere there.
Okay, that's what it is.
I think it was terraformed by the Kree or something,
right.
And now the Internals, the Inhumans live there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't the Watcher kick it over there too?
Yeah, I don't think he's confined to the blue area though. I think he can stand on the Earth like an X-Man.
Right, and chill.
Okay, so as the Avengers are there, they make a reference to be like, oh, they just had come out of this particular battle or whatever. But then as you read the book on, they're really only there to do what they're supposed to do here with Rick Jones, and we'll get to that in a second too. All right, so the Avengers team of this moment: Cap, Iron Man, cool. Ant-Man, Giant Man, Hank Pym. Okay, yeah, Ant-Man, Giant Man, Hank Pym.
Although they called him off reserves.
Oh, okay.
As we learned.
Giant Man, okay. Scarlet Witch. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool,
Okay.
different uniform.
All right, and then they were like, well, let's get some scrubs. And this is typical Avengers book, apparently, because Brother Beavis references this all the time, is that there's somebody on the team that shouldn't be there, who's like always questioning their abilities. Okay.
I disagree, sir. I strongly disagree with your take.
Okay, you're the one that said it. Hold on.
No, I agree that I said that, but I think you're misapplying my logic here.
I'm gonna go for these people first, and then you can explain it. Justice. Who the fuck is that?
I didn't look that person up.
Yeah, all right.
They probably didn't give him a Marvel card.
No, it's Vance Astro from the New Warriors, and Firestar also from the New Warriors.
Well, Firestar, Spider-Man.
In Avengers Volume 3, the first 3 issues, which George Perez drew, they draw in. There's some plot by Morgana, and they draw in every single Avenger ever. And it's part of it is Scarlet Witch is able to draw Simon Williams's ionic energy across the ether and re-manifest him, and he becomes the blue and red glowing Wonder Man at that point. And so once they settle that, then they break the team up, and the core team is like Scarlet Witch, Vision, Thor, Iron Man, Warbird, who became Captain Marvel, then Carol Danvers, Cap, and I don't know why he has a glowing shield, but they established I can't remember at what point they were Avengers, but Firestar and Justice, who was Marvel Boy in the New Warriors before he became Justice, they became reserve members, and it looks like they've bled a few by this time, and they're on the main roster. So Marvel Boy is not an also ran, or Justice, in my opinion, IMHO is not an also ran, because like he was one of the featured characters of the New Mutants, which is a legit comic story, or a legit line of comics, no matter what anybody says.
The New Warriors?
Yes.
Yeah.
New Warriors is as good as Thunderbolts, in my opinion.
I collected both. I like Thunderbolts better, but I like New Warriors too. But yeah, sure.
You got me fucked up. First off, Morgana, the only one I recognize is the Kissing Bandit. 2, Firestar is from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. That's it. You know, Miss Angelica Jinx, man. That's it. We don't need to see you in no comic books at all. Like, that's it. It's Miss Angelica Jinx. That is all. I'm like looking at this. I'm like, how in the world? Like, that's all top shelf Avengers. That's not even middle rung Avengers, man. That's way below. Come on, man. Like, they can't be.
You gotta bring in some different folks every so often.
And that was the logic of why they became reserves, but then I guess they had to go from being reserves to
got called up. Damn Gulf War. So they're there to bring Rick Jones to the blue side of the moon, you know, because he had gotten something was wrong with him or whatever. And we go through this is your life Rick Jones moment, where we go through all these particular stories where he was important to the Avengers. Again,
and the Hulk.
I have not read. Apparently, I haven't read any Avengers stories. I don't recognize any of this shit. Like, did y'all read any of these stories they were referencing when he became, like, you know, he hulked up when he got Kree and Skrull powers, or the Hulk beat his ass into a wheelchair?
I've read some of these.
I'm only familiar with I guess it was it the second? It was either the Kree. I think it was the Kree Shi'ar War, which was the basis of Operation Galactic Storm. So I don't really know much about the other one. I had a chuckle when they were talking about they battled these villains like the Space Phantom. What? Who? Yeah. So
yeah, I'm like, what? I don't know who. I don't know any of this stuff. Like, I mean, legitimately. And then I don't know if I put it in here, if it was a joke thing. I was like, when did he become Blue Falcon? Because that suit is definitely the Blue Falcon suit. He didn't have Dynamite with him, but that's the Blue Falcon suit.
So I don't think that's Rick Jones. That's Nighthawk.
Oh,
right.
Okay. Yeah.
So he, in his role in the Kree Skull War was he pulled all these World War II and Elseworlds heroes in to save the day.
Right.
And that's the setup for this. They reactivate his power to pull people from across the timeline.
Okay, let's just go ahead and say whatever. Okay, so I'm just guessing. I haven't read them. The Avengers comic books must have sucked because none of this shit sounds interesting to me at all. So I'm just saying, maybe it's me. I'm sensitive. These Avengers comic books don't sound that good, Hutch. You had a bunch of them. You had the one with Ronin.
Damn it! Don't remind me. I went from like 170 something to like 230. I was in there for a minute. And yes, they went through the Black Captain Marvel and
whole time.
Druid. They went through a whole bunch of scrubs. So yes, there were some moments where they was like, "Ugh, this ain't good," and I collected them.
Do you have the book where he teamed up with Rom? Because it said he teamed up with Rom in Space Knight. Do you have that one?
I think
it's got to be worth some money. Too. Oh God.
I hate Rick Jones too. Let me throw that
do
out
too.
There.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
He's sidekick supreme Bucky with no powers. I mean,
right, but actually he does have power.
Apparently,
yeah.
I think it's fair to say while we can list off, notable stories like the Celestial Madonna, Atlantis attacks, whatever.
Who?
Those Avengers stories don't stack up to Galactus versus the Fantastic Four or Dark Phoenix or anything like that. They just don't.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, they bring Rick so fucking messed up ass to the Supreme Intelligence, who they got as a prisoner on the blue side of the moon or whatever. And they're like, hey, he's all messed up. So Supreme Intelligence, dude, you need to fix him. He's like, yeah, leave the boy with me, which is kind of on some creepy pedophile shit, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, yeah, just leave him with me. I'll take care of him. I don't know about that. And Cap's like, nah, we're not doing that. We're not leaving him with here. You're going to perform your whatever experiments or whatever you're going to do on him here. And there's a great shot there of like all the heroes together in like a panel shot. That is a great shot. Like we're all like individually there. Like Carlos Pacheco can draw his ass off. Just FYI. It didn't work on Fantastic Four. I don't know why, but this book is very well drawn. And the Supreme Intelligence.
Feel.
Yeah.
Type of feel.
Yeah, his style is unique, I guess.
I'm gonna guess that since all their costumes are the same, maybe that's what it is, because it doesn't have the same kind of detail, I don't know, as some of the other artists. So if you're drawing 4 people in the same outfits, I could see why that would fall apart. Plus, there's always weird stuff going on in the background. But I think the book looks great to me.
Yeah,
it's full of color, that's for sure.
Well, and then it looks kind of side note too. If you see that Wanda's on the team, but they don't pay any attention to her, it's like, no wonder this bitch went crazy. Y'all never gave her anything to do.
Well, I thought she was the one giving the creds to the guards and all that. I think she's the number 2 here.
Number 2.
Yeah, because Iron Man doesn't do anything. I mean, she's basically her and Cap are basically leading the way here.
Yeah,
it does have a soliloquy or whatever you want to call that there for a second. Shut up.
Well, so he's like, well, you guys don't have a choice. You're gonna have to leave the thing, the boy with me. And Cap like, all right, well, you got 24 hours to fix him, or else, he's like, okay, sure, fine.
Or else you're gonna get the shield.
Yeah, well, he leaves him there, and then a mysterious hooded figure shows up. It's like, hey, him and the Supreme Intelligence talk. The Supreme Intelligence apparently was lonely on the blue side of the moon too. It was just like, I don't have anybody to talk to. Like, who the fuck wants to talk to the Supreme Intelligence? Like, that's kind of weird. We could side on this fact that they really messed up that character in that Captain Marvel movie and turned it into whatever that was. There's no way you could have done this.
I was gonna say, I'm sure, all right, we're taking some risks with this movie. Should we also include a giant tentacle-topped head in a vat of Bacta? I don't know if we should do that. Yeah.
Well, he references that, he's been playing, they've been manipulating Rick Jones and the Avengers, and he says that, did he kill the other Kree? Is there something like that?
Yeah, so that's from Galactic Storm. So the point of Galactic Storm was the Supreme Intelligence had recognized the Kree were at an evolutionary dead end. So he prompted a war so he could use the Negabomb against the Kree homeworld Hala and then trigger mutation amongst the Kree. And so when the Avengers finally settled that, they were split because half the team wanted to execute him as a war criminal, led by Iron Man, and the other half, led by Cap, didn't want to do that. So they executed him, but because comics, he had already uploaded his sentience into something else, and then was eventually snagged by Shield and put in prison here.
Nice. Okay. Well, I had no idea about that either. Wow, that's crazy. Well,
Comics.
yeah, because comics. All right, and then as the hooded figure there, we start to see some glowing feet. You gonna see a pair of legs.
And I'm guessing you don't know who this is either.
I don't. Who that is?
He serves the balance, don't you know?
The Living Tribunal.
He's Libra of the Zodiac.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Sagittarius. I don't know nothing about that. So
yeah, so the Zodiac was the 12 minions of Zodiac, usually led by a Sagittarius who may or may not be Nick Fury's brother, who may or may not be clones or robots at any given time.
Right.
Libra is one of them. I don't know why he was picked from amongst the 12 to be in this, but yeah, he's
this is why people don't read comic books. Like, how in the world could you pick this up? Like, and I read comic books. How could you pick this up and like just on a random? Like, seriously. That's why modern comic books. That's how modern comic books only got like 55 words in them. Like, nobody can follow this. God, come on, man. All right. So we go to Limbo now. We find Immortus, explorer, ruler, conqueror. I'll be honest with you. Before reading this over again, I didn't catch it then. I didn't know Immortus and Kang was the same fucking person. I didn't know that. I'm just like completely gone. So I guess his job is to watch the timeline, and he's really not that.
I want to flashback that scene where Jonathan Majors is like, "Come on, Sylvie, grow up. We're all villains here, murderer." That's great.
Yeah, he did a really good job.
Yes, Kang and Immortus, same guy.
Yeah, he goes back to one scene.
Maybe two.
Yeah, that he keeps watching over and over and over again, and and then he looks at Rick Jones, and he sends Tempest, out to. I never. Why does Tempest look like a
frost giant?
Is Tempest a frost giant?
Yeah.
Is he a frost giant?
He looks like one.
But is he a frost giant? Never heard of Tempest before either.
Maybe.
Okay. I just saw him in I was reading Avengers West Coast for no good reason, and I saw him in there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he shows up. He's been tasked to go ahead and kill Rick Jones or whatever. He's going to hit him. This is some.
I'll put $1 on it.
Okay. Well, he's going to hit him with the Mighty War Club, and crash his spirit. Okay. But something happens that counteracted his spell. His time, whatever. And who is it? It's Kang, bitches. Shout out Sandman, man. We miss you, bro. Thigh high boots and all. It's Kang. And then that's what he says. Kang is the older Immortus is the older version of Kang,
more perfected.
Whatever. He's not the warmonger or whatever that Kang is. Had no idea, didn't really know. So Immortus is like, Kang, what is you doing? And he's like, Rick Jones must die. And Kang's like, nah, son, that's not gonna happen. And Tempest attacks, and then he gets killed. And then he gets shattered, into all these million shards and pieces. But then like the pieces turn into like it's like all these war, like people that go to war now gonna fight against Kang. And so I said to y'all, let's look at some of the fake hero or the fake villains or the fake whatever army here that he has. So I was like, all right, well, there's Dirk the Daring there with his shield, like ready to fight. Who else you got that you would think that's in here?
That could be John Carter on the Confederate looking sword wielding guy. That could be John Carter.
Yes, that's fine. There was another army dude too, the one that's front and center, but I can't remember the name of that character.
Sergeant Rock.
Yeah, there it is. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. You got somebody from 300 in there with his shield on. Near the other
you got
one.
Russell Crowe from Gladiator.
Yeah, there you go. Like it's just like kind of like this weird group of people that he's going to send. And Kang's like, oh, that's what you got? Well, I'm breaking out the gats and starts mowing people down, So thank you, Hutch, for pulling that up if you're watching online. So I mean, just it was kind of like a weird thing. It's like, oh well, now he turns into these. Oh, there's a Native American dude back there. And
no, that. It's he's able to use Tempest's body to create gateways to pull people from across time.
This is where I like to interject. Kangs and the Immortuses, you got the whole blankety blank timeline to play with, and this is the best you could do.
Bring Dirk to Daring.
Yeah.
Come on, ref. Come on.
Yeah, Nightcrawler might stand a chance against this set.
Yeah, that I was gonna say.
Exactly. Let me pull out these average dudes are a little better than average
regular people. Yeah,
right. With
typical, I believe, is the term you're looking for.
Yeah.
Mess.
Choom choom bam.
What was Marvel? What was so let's get into that because you had done it before. Okay, so what are the Marvel cards for Immortus and then for Kang? Now I think we played with the Kang character in the Secret Wars Marvel game back in the day.
I think he was the villain in the second module they put out. The first one was X-Men and the next one was
Kang. Okay. So as much as Sandman hates Kang,
his physical attributes are not good. And his odds of hitting people with these guns
are good. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, well, and also if you're on the YouTube thing, if you see Hutch's, he was completely bitch smacked in the original Secret Wars. He was like, "Hey, man, this is some shit," and he gets vaporized by Ultron. He
was the first casualty.
Now, Kang was the black person in a horror movie. He didn't make it very far, and so he hasn't gotten a lot of respect. Maybe in the comics or whatever back then, now.
You don't deserve it now. Yeah.
Oh, there's a great sequence in the Infinity Gauntlet where him and Doom are traveling side fight to try and do something about Thanos and get the gauntlet. And there's this moment where they turn on each other that's pretty funny because they both know it's coming and it finally does.
Kang always. Yeah.
Well, he's about, use a wrestling term, fuck Hulk Hogan. He's about to get a big push here, obviously. And to be frank, that Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, but they gave him a huge push in that too. They didn't make him a punk. They didn't do anything like that. They really made him a decent character, with a purpose as well, that made sense. So he was a villain, yes, for sure. But, you could understand why he was acting the way he was. All right, so this is his Marvel card if you're watching on YouTube. Fighting typical. That's awful. It's good, awful. It's remarkable strength. This is terrible.
He only lift a ton.
He could lose to Nightcrawler.
He could lose to the Wasp. He could take an L from the Wasp.
So now, in the basic game, he had an unearthly force field. That was his thing when he first came in, is you couldn't touch him. He kind of didn't fight because he just marshaled his troops and he had a force field.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, this is bad. That's not a good card.
Right. You came from 1,000 years in the future. You could do anything, and you come back to get your ass beat with a blue face.
And a tunic and some thigh-high boots.
And some thigh-highs, yeah, that's bad. Yeah.
You're one of the worst blue-faced people. You're one of the worst characters to wear green and purple.
Come on, man. This is Sandman level hate here.
Green Goblin got stats on him, yo. Green Goblin. I'm wearing a shirt right now. I don't know if y'all can see it.
Pop your collar, sir.
Whatever. It's a tribute to all the villains, and it's got.
Kang ain't on there.
It's great. It's got Dr. Doom, Thanos, Red Skull, Galactus, Magneto. There ain't no Kang.
Well, prior to the MCU making him a bigger thing, Thanos was in comic books, obviously, and they took that from that to make this freaking movie. But like, he wasn't like a mainstream villain either. You know, like it was just somebody he
Yeah,
wanted.
that one is one arc.
Yeah,
And
like
the funny thing was Ultron was, and they sort of flushed that in
and
one
he flushed
shot.
it, right? Yeah, that's funny you should say that because I watched that like the other night, and I'm like, golly, they really like kind of blew this. They could have
That is
made
not my
that.
Ultron.
No, yeah, they really went someplace else with that. All right. So who else you got here, Hutch? Is this?
I mean, I had to give me a
Give
second.
me Immortus. His is worse because in this, that's his older self. He's got to be.
Give me a second to find.
Immortus was just like when he's in limbo, you can't do anything to him.
Right.
Now there's a thing called the Council of the Kangs. Now, I don't know if this comes up in this particular series or whatever, but like where all of them get together. I mean, again, my Kangness comes from him, you know, taking a freaking jobber loss in Secret Wars, and then whatever's on the cartoon. You know, I don't really remember reading a whole bunch of books.
I think he might have dropped the TV title in
he got
Secret
the TV
Wars.
title?
Dropped the TV title.
Come on, man.
They put the belt on him briefly, and then he had to drop it when Doctor
This
Doom
is
came back
on
to the territory.
Yeah.
He is always getting job. I mean,
So the He Who Remains character we got in the show is somewhat similar to Immortus. That's why some people would, whereas a lot of people were just labeling Kang. To me, it was more like Immortus because Immortus has seen sort of what
Everything.
Kang will do and has taken more of a sort of a protective role over, I think, 7 centuries or something like that. But that doesn't mean that he, you know, has always been a hero. Like he will pull up some schemes to try and preserve his own interests and things like that. But I think the Council of the Kangs is just from a period where, so one of the things with Kang is he influences his own timeline. And so there are times where there might be like a prime Kang who has risen to, you know, overthrow the other ones, or there's times where they're working together. And that Council of Kangs would be more of that second case.
Well, his character card sucks.
Yeah.
It's bad. Damn.
Yeah, he's basically he can't do a lot. He's just untouchable.
Oh, he's got force field.
Yeah.
Okay.
And dimensional travel.
Yeah.
Invulnerability.
And he did sexually molest / that to Miss Marvel. And was that Avengers 200?
Was that him or that was I didn't think that was Immortus, was it?
I think it was Immortus. But yeah,
Googling.
He definitely it was some wild, crazy stuff when I was
yeah, that's not good. Was you looking at
kid's name is Marcus, right? Yeah, Marcus.
Yeah.
Marcus.
So Kang family's black. I'm saying Marcus
with
a K.
You also see
Marcus with a K
Richard as a relative.
Well, as y'all looking that up, Rick Jones wakes up in the middle of this fight between fucking Stratego and Ken and him shooting guns, and I was like, he's like, man, if I could find a phone. I'm like, nigga, you on the moon? What the fuck? You looking for a phone? What are you talking about? So yeah, but he's all tingly as well. You know, his powers or the supreme intelligence keep hyping him up. Like, hey, you know, whatever, your race needs you. Let it out. You know, now is the time. And he gets the Phoenix effect. And, you know, boom, we get a new Avengers team to end the book. And I don't know who some of these people are either. So, I mean, okay, so that's Giant Man, obviously. I can figure that out. And Wasp. Is that Captain Marvel? But
no, it's, well, in a sense, it's Genus Bell.
Yeah.
Who is some offspring of Captain Marvel.
Right.
Okay.
And I think I've confirmed that yes, indeed, Immortus was
Genus
the rapist.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He raped
who? Captain Marvel?
Ms. Marvel at the time.
Oh, Miss
Carol
Marvel.
Danvers.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's not good.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is some version of
It raped her to give birth to himself.
Right.
Exactly.
Which is Marcus, supposedly.
Sylvie and Loki shit is this?
And that was Avengers 200, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're right.
I had it.
Gross. Why is this Marvel looking like Anderson Cooper? Why his hair look like that?
So it's he's got the Quasar sort of getup, but he is more of the Marvel family, if that makes sense. Because he has the Negabands and he has more of the Quasar outfit without the cape.
So Hank Pym is also Yellow Jacket and Giant. So why are they got two of them?
Do you want me to explain it, or do you want to?
I need to understand it.
All right. So keep in mind. Oh, all right. So we'll revisit. So remember, in the previous Kree-Skrull War,
that I also didn't read. Yes.
Rick Jones pulled heroes from across the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So in this one, he is prompted by Libra to pull heroes from across timelines to stand, to stand with Kang and help him defeat Immortus. So you have Giant Man and the Wasp. And so I'm not sure exactly what era the Giant Man comes from, but the Wasp is pretty much, she's the leader. This is from her when she was leader of the Avengers. Then you have Hawkeye when he was in as Goliath, in the Goliath outfit, at least. I don't know if he shrinks or grows in this. You also have Yellow Jacket from the time where Hank Pym was having like an emotional breakdown and didn't realize he didn't believe that he was Hank Pym.
Something like that.
And then, not revealed here, this is the Captain America from when he's disillusioned with the government.
Every Captain America.
And then we have Songbird and Genus Vell. Songbird from clearly wearing an Avengers logo, but we know her at this point from the Thunderbolts. And then Genus Vell, who you probably maybe you would know, but you'd have to be reading some sorry comic books to have seen it.
Wow. Okay, just off the top of my head, this Avengers group couldn't beat their meat. They have no strength at all. Like literally, there's nobody strong.
Captain Marvel can do incredible.
Well, at this time, Cap is, although he is not as decisive, he does have super strength.
Oh, okay. Well, super strength, like incredible.
Incredible. But Genus Vell is probably stronger than all of them.
Off the charts. Okay. That's old Anderson Cooper. Okay. So yeah.
I like the panel with the blurred images, and then that last page is great.
Yeah. No, it's again a super well drawn book. Well, and that's how issue number 1 ends. We have this kind of roll call of the Avengers. They're wondering why the hell they got in this particular situation or how the hell they got here. And that's where we are. Yeah, we do too. And so, that's it. So I mean, yeah, a good introductory book. And again, as somebody who didn't read a lot of Avengers comic books, kind of get lost in the shuffle here. And, I don't want to play, like, oh, this is why, modern comics are better than or greater than or whatever. But this is why continuity can become a huge issue for people just trying to pick up a comic book off the, off the rack. Because, y'all are telling me stories that I'm like, wait, what? Avengers who? And what? Kang is who? This is some Jerry Springer shit. And, people might not be able to follow that all around. But I mean, yeah.
But the alternative is like, so if you took literally like half the exposition out of here, just all the backstory, like if you start from the perspective of, I don't understand, even with the backstory, I still don't get it. I still don't understand it. Yeah. The modern alternative is you just strip all that out because it doesn't make sense anyway.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't figure it out. Yeah. It would just be like, today we want to tell a story with Giant Man, Yellow Jacket, Goliath, Songbird, Wasp, Genus Vell, and Captain America. Yeah. Well, Goliath has the same powers as Giant Man, and Giant Man's the same person as Yellow Jacket. So this is a story I want to tell.
Yeah.
Immortus is Kang.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, again, it's AEW booking. It really is. It doesn't make any sense. You're just trying to get to this match. And I get that part. Like, I really do. But like, when you're watching it or reading it, in the moment, it's just like, well, this doesn't really make any sense. But get to the match so I can, kind of suspend that particular disbelief. What you were saying, you were doing that. I was like, oh, so what you're describing is Secret Wars 3, which we read. Doesn't make any sense. You don't need to have any backstory about it. There's no really words to it. You just kind of have a vague general idea of like this character makes sense or whatever, and you just kind of move on. I mean, again, it's the essential, modern comic book.
Get on a roller coaster.
And the way this unfolds, the plot is that they're selected for particular reasons, and even though they are sorry for the most part, they have roles to play.
Well, I'm looking forward to jumping into it. Like I said, I kind of read ahead a little bit, but it really just exposed how much I didn't know about the damn Avengers. Like, know anything. I'm like, okay, so this will be good for me. I certainly can't think of any other Avengers story that I'm like, hey, you know what? This is a really good Avengers story.
Well, and there's a reason that the MCU made movies about the Avengers. It was the only property they hadn't sold off.
Right. Yeah.
Because everyone else was clamoring for the rights and the stories, and they licensed it all out. And once they decided to make their own movies, that was the only thing they had left.
Who decided we should read this series anyway?
I may have suggested it after the Loki finale. Because it was. I remember when we were talking about like what are we going to read next, we had some really good ideas, and then when we came up again, I was like, I don't know. And then after Loki, this one made sense.
Well, I think with Kang becoming such a huge, obviously, thing here, this is going to be like, I think, give Kang, his flowers or whatever, let him have his particular story. Let us, run Sandman for, 6 weeks about hating Kang, to get to the end of this story, and we'll, move into, some other, hero or whatever, for the fall to see, their favorite story. I like I said, I mean, I like reading this kind of stuff. When we finish these things, I wind up going upstairs and editing and watching Infinity War, and then going back before, and then going back and reading some of the things that y'all talk about, so I can have a better frame of reference. And even if I don't read it, I just go read the damn Wikipedia. I'm like, oh, got it. So I can have a general idea, because a lot of these books, again, I didn't read, and not only that I didn't read, I didn't even think about reading. Oh, look at Tempest. His card probably sucks too. Of course, he's a freaking Thor villain.
And there's a Space Phantom too, it looks like.
Is that the Space Phantom?
It looks like him.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So that'll wrap up episode 1. We only did 1 issue tonight. This is a 12-issue miniseries. We are not taking, 3 months to read this. We're going to chunk some books together. If it's like every other miniseries that's ever really been written, you can definitely chunk some books together, because I'm sure there are some skippable parts here and there that you can mash into 1 or 2 issues. So that's kind of where we'll be. So that'll be our main book for issue 13 or season 13. But that's where it is. All right. Remember, you can find this podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. Rate, review, subscribe. You can watch it on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to that as well. Am I missing anything? Did I miss anything? I don't think I'm missing.
We're missing Sandman, but
we are missing Sandman. Sandman, we miss you, man. Get better. For real. Nothing serious, but just get better. All right. So as the X-Men animated music starts to play us out, if you're listening to the podcast, I am the producer on this podcast, and I'm signing off. Sandman, go ahead. Damn, did you see?
$10.
Rub it in.
$10.
That is so bad. That's just standard, man. Oh my God. Brother Beavis, go ahead and sign off. Damn.
All right. We'll see you next time, wherever we end up on the time stream.
That's right. Yeah, wherever we are, man. It is branching off for sure. Hutch, go ahead and sign off, man.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, we'll see everybody on the timeline later on. Pieces and hair greases.